Hi, Assalamualaikum. So we continue with the form for HIRARC, and we can see that there are three parts, in which the first one is for the HI, hazard identification, and then we have the risk assessment for part 2, and the final one is the risk control, part 3. Okay, how to write the work activity? So the best is to look hazard identification based on this 5M. Okay, the first one is man-to-man. It can be man or the employees with another employees, or employees with the customer or patient. So that's one. And then the second one is M for machinery, in which it involves with the any machine or equipment that relate with the work activity. For example, dekat klinik tadi kita nampak it relate to the X-ray machine. And for material, it can involve with the chemical or the medication at the clinic, and sometimes the workplace have gases, so it can have hazard there. And the fourth M is the method, the way they do the job. So mostly it involved with the material handling manually. And the fifth one is medium, in which related to the work condition. It can be the air quality, ventilation, noise, vibration, and anything that related to the surrounding at the workplace. So if you can connect all these 5M, then it's easy for you to come up with the work activity. Okay, next. We can also get the information for the work activity and the hazard from the incident report, okay, from the program at the organization, complaints, okay, complaint from the workers, injury records, and then also the report from the audit or inspection, and also from the record of hazardous substance. So all of these we can get all the information to be filled up into the HIRARC form. And let's do the first part, the hazard identification, in which we go back to the clinic scenario, in which we need to have the activity. And then this one you can we can omit this, and we have the hazard that related to the activity, and also the consequences, effect, or the impact of the hazard. So for the working clinic, we first saw that the activity of handling the patient, in which you do the wound cleaning, the injuries cleaning, in which involve with the blood, and it can pose hazard on the infectious diseases. So what are the consequences? The workers can be infected with hepatitis B, C, HIV, and so on. And for the second work activity, using the X-ray machine, the workers can be exposed to the radioactive and radiation, and the consequences can cause cancer and also fatality. And for the handling patient and moving object, it involves with the heavy lifting hazard, and it will cause back injuries, muscular injuries, and so on. And for the fourth one, dealing with the patient, the angry and stressed patient, in which it involves the hazard of violence at the workplace, and the consequences, it can result in the loss of sleep, fear, or depression of the workers. So we done with the example of part 1 for the scenario in the clinic. So these three columns are very important, in which we have the work activity, the hazard, and also the consequences or the effect. Okay, let's look at this another scenario for the hazard identification. Let's look at the working at wood panel cutting process. Okay, these are the scenario. Okay, so we have this cutter blade, and we have this table in which the wood will go through this to be cut. So you need to have the first part first. So we're going to do the hazard identification. So we're going to have column for the numbers, work activity in the working at wood panel cutting process, the hazard related to the work activity, and also what are the cause, effect, or the impact, okay, of the hazard. So from here we can imagine that loading the wood onto the machine, okay, the cutting machine, and then it involved with this cutting blade. It's not yet operating, so it just by loading first, and so the effect gonna be cuts, okay, or first aid type injury. And the second one, when the cutting machine is in operation, so this blade is rotating, so it involved with the unguarded machine, and the cause and effect, the hand will get caught in the rotating parts, and also it can cause amputation, okay, putus jari, okay, if you touch this when it in the operation mode. And then here they have another related hazard to this operating machine is flying fragments or debris. So serious cut to the eyes, and also can cut also your finger and your hands from the flying fragments. And next process or the activity is unloading the cut wood. Okay, after you finish cutting the wood, then you need to unload when you finish. So it involved with the heavy loads, so it's on the manual handling, so it will give you muscular strain, back pain. And for the last one, they go for the repair and maintenance of the machine. So again, you involved with the unguarded machine and unsafe work practice, so it can cause serious cut from the blade and also from the rotating parts. So we already identified 4 work activity with the 5 hazard and with the cause and effect. Okay, now we look into another scenario. So this time is on the working at the wall exterior plaster work. So it on the construction in which they need to plaster this wall, and we're doing the first part in which we have the hazard identification, work activity, hazard, and the cause and effect. So first, erect working platform. So they're going to erect this scaffold, and there are hazard, unguarded floor, and it will cause head injury if you fall, and can cause fatal too. Okay, berbahaya, boleh mati, patah tengkuk dan sebagainya. And then loading concrete onto the platform. This is when you carry this bucket, okay, this bucket up to the platform using the ladder, so it can hazard pose is uneven floor here, and you can fall and break your leg. And heavy loads, you're carrying the bucket from the ground up to this platform, so it will cause muscular strain and back pain. So in this work activity, they have 2 hazards, and during the plastering work, it can impose the hazard of defective platform, in which the platform is not stable, so it can cause fall and can be fatal. And also due to the hot weather, so the hot weather also can be hazard, in which it will cause dehydrated to the workers. And then to complete the process, they will include one more on the clearing unused material after they finish all the work, and then they will do the clearing. And the hazard during the clearing, they will find sharp object, and the cause and the effect going to be finger cut. So these are the 4 activity with the 6. Okay, here they have 6 hazard and the cause. So now we're going to do the second part, risk assessment. So when we talk about risk assessment, we know that they have rating for the likelihood, means that the kebarangkalian benda akan berlaku. Okay, so we have scale 1 to 5. 5 is the extreme one, in which it most likely akan berlaku setiap kali. Okay, and number 1 is the less, is on the level of never occur or jarang-jarang. Okay, so usually 2, 3, 4 is the common rating that they use, and for severity is on the severe. Okay, betapa parah sesuatu accident tu berlaku, rating again 5 to 1. 5 is extreme, in which involve the numerous fatality, banyak kematian dan juga kerosakan yang tidak boleh dibetulkan terhadap properties and machine. And yang scale number 1 is on the minor bruises cuts, so it's a light or the first aid injury type. And then involved with the 2, 3, 4, we can see 2 is disabling but not permanent. 3 can be disabled and permanent. And 4 involved with the 1 fatality. Okay, so these are the scale or rating for likelihood and severity. So we need to do the calculation likelihood times the severity. And once you get the calculation, severity times the likelihood, then you need to get into category, okay, based on the value. So for high level, it's going to be 15 to 25, medium is 5 to 12, and low is 1 to 4. So you need to categorize the risk. Okay, let's go back to the working in the clinic environment. So we know that you need to have the current risk control or existing risk control, in which semasa what they have control of the hazard during that particular time. So here for the first one, we need to go together with the activity that we have listed. So when you're handling the patient with the injuries and so on, so the current risk control is hand washing, okay, proper hand washing. So in likelihood they put 3, severity they put 3, and then they times 3 is 9, and the category is medium. So it based on this, 3 here might occur and 3 here is non-fatal but can be permanent disability. And for the second activity using the X-ray machine, so current risk control is competent or proper PPE, so they are wearing the shield, and safe working distance, allowable exposure limit. So the likelihood is 2 because they already implement this procedure, and severity is 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. So 4 is considered as low. And handling patient and moving object. So use proper lifting technique, and the likelihood is 3 and the severity is 3, so 9, medium. And the last one, dealing with the angry and stressed patient, so follow policy and intervention guideline. 3 times 3 is 9, is on the medium category. Okay, let's go back to the wood panel cutting process, in which we have done the first part. So the second part, we need to have the current or risk control, existing risk control, likelihood, severity, and risk. So we need to link again with the work activity. So loading the machine with the wood or cutting blade, safe working practice, that one is the current one. So likelihood is 4, severity is 1, okay, because it just involved with the non-moving cutting blade. And 4 times 1 is 4, is still low risk. And then for the second activity, for unguarded machine when it's operating, so the existing risk control, safe working practice, and daily pre-use check and regular maintenance. So they don't have cover yet. Likelihood, they put 4, and the severity is 3, okay, because it will involve amputation. And again, 4 times 3 is 12. 12 is considered as high. And then another related hazard is flying fragments. They have the warning sign, they have the safety goggles, and also training. So they put likelihood as 4, and the severity as 3. So 4 times 3 is 12, is under medium. On the heavy load hazard, they have the manual lifting procedure. Likelihood is 3, severity is 1. So 3 times 1 is 3, considered as low. And the final one is repair and maintenance on the unguarded machine. So they have a cover on button. So the on button they cover during the maintenance process. And likelihood happen is 4. And the severity is 4, in which it can involve fatality. Will get 16 and is under the high risk. Let's go back to the working with the wall exterior plaster work. So the risk analysis here, and we need to read together with the work activity and hazard. So for the first one, on the unguarded floor. The current or existing risk, they are using the safety helmet and housekeeping. So the likelihood they decide to put 4. And the severity is 5, so 20, so consider as high. And then for the loading concrete on the uneven floor, they are doing the housekeeping and they have put on the safety shoes. Likelihood 4, severity 3, 12, so it's medium. And for the heavy load, they have the manual lifting procedure currently. Likelihood 3, severity 1, so 3 is low. And then for during the plastering work, they have the defective platform. They are using the safety belt. Likelihood 4, severity 5. Okay, it can be fatality to number of people, so it's considered as high. And hot weather, currently they don't have any risk control, so likelihood 3, severity is 1, dehydrated, so 3 is considered low. And for the last one is sharp object, currently they don't have any control, so 3, and then likelihood severity 1 and the risk is 3, so it's considered as low. So we have completed the part 1 and part 2 for this 3 scenario. So the last one, the risk control, so you have to go back to the hierarchy of control in which we have covered this in the previous chapter. So we start with the elimination and down to PPE. So elimination, we can see that you need to remove totally from the workplace. Substitute with less hazardous substance or machine. You isolate the process, or you have the lockout system. And engineering control when you introduce the cover or the guard. And administrative control involved with the signage, supervision, inspection, policy, training. And the final one is PPE, in which is involved with the safety helmet, mask, safety shoes, and so on. Okay, for the individual. Okay, let's go back with the working in clinic scenario. So we're going to complete the form. So the part 3 on the risk control. So okay, this one you don't have to do this. You neglect this part. So you will focus on these two, recommended control measure and also PIC. So PIC, you can put any names that related to the work and also the date and the status. So recommended control for the related activity that we already listed. Number 1, for the handling contaminated object, ensure availability of glove. Okay, so the glove is there for them to use, and cleansing agent, okay, and also other protective equipment. For X-ray machine, they have done for the existing, so no need to have more recommended control measure. And for handling the patient, moving the patient, they recommend for trained staff on proper lifting technique and dealing with the violent. So they recommended for the trained staff on diffusing situation and intervention procedure. So you have to fill up with this information. Okay, let's look again on the wood panel cutting process. We have done the 2 parts. So the final one, the recommended measure, you have to read together with the work activity and hazard. The control measure, you are suggested to use the leather hand glove. Okay. And then you can put any related PIC here. And for the operating machine with the unguarded machine hazard, so they fix with the L guard to the machine. And for the flying fragments, they use a stronger blade, and also they fix the L guard installed. And for the heavy loads, they opt for use mechanical lifter. And for the final one, recommend to make a delay start button instead of only using the cover on button temporary. So for the last scenario, working at the wall exterior plastering work, so recommended control based on this activity and hazard. So recommended control for the first one, unguarded floor, they suggest for fence upper floor, so they put the fence, and also establish safe work procedure. And these are the PIC, okay, and the due date. Put plank on the even floor or anti-slip mat to reduce the hazard on the uneven floor. For heavy load, they say use a small container, okay, for the concrete. And for the defective platform is to install handrail and use new plank as platform, so it's more stable. And for the hot weather, provide drinking facilities near the platform, dealing with sharp object, using the leather glove and use tools. So for the recommended control, you can put more than one suggestion. So that's all for the HIRARC form. So here is another way of controlling a hazard based on the hierarchical of control. Okay, so they have this form, but it's more common to use the HIRARC form.